Hey guys, Metal Jesus here. Now, recently I was looking at the Seattle Retro Gamers group on Facebook, and a local game collector, his name is Josh, posted a really interesting question that I thought would make a pretty good video. He asked, what is one of the most disappointing consoles in your game collection? I saw this and I was like, oh man, there is one system that just stinks up my room. Let's take a look. What is the most disappointing gaming console in my entire game room? No question. It's the Atari 5200. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm so disappointed in this, but first of all, take a look at the size of this thing. It's absolutely massive. It's crazy. Now, this is not why I'm disappointed in it, but I just have to point out that it's so massive. I mean, look how big it is compared to the Switch. It's amazing how far we've come since the 1980s. Most controllers since the 70s have this design where the joystick or the thumbstick will self-center whenever you take your hand off of it. And that's really important when you want to have precision in your games. Imagine playing sort of like Pac-Man or some games like that where it's a maze. You need to be able to turn on a dime and be very precise. Well, the Atari 5200 took this sloppy analog feel to its design where it doesn't self-center. Like if you have it pushed all the way to the left, it kind of languishes a little bit there. So playing arcade games is incredibly frustrating with this, and there's nothing really that you can do about it. Another really weird thing about this is the buttons here. Now at the top you see start, pause, and reset. Now these are mushy, and you have to kind of jam your finger in there to even get them to register. Same thing with the buttons on the side. They're not clicky in any way. They're mushy. So you never get a really good, satisfying feel of selecting something or firing a weapon in a game. It just feels all mushy. It's bizarre. With all of those complaints aside, you could probably live with that because the programmers, well, they program around those limitations, and yeah, some of the games play better than others, but here's the thing. Here are all of the Atari 5200 controllers that I own. Look at all these. All of them are broken except for that one. They break all the time. They're so fragile. It's crazy. Like, you'll have one in a box somewhere that when you put it away, it worked. But then 6 months, a year later, you pull it out of the box, and for whatever reason, it no longer works. They are just so poorly designed. It's shocking to me. So when someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about collecting for the Atari 5200, the first thing that comes to mind is like, well, guess what? You're probably not going to have official controllers that work. It's tough to do. And actually, the one that does work is because a friend of mine actually repaired this one. This one used to be broke as well. I used to have no working controllers. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know any other system that has this problem this bad. Now, to be fair, you can get around this problem using third-party controllers. So for instance, I have a Wiko joystick here, but there's a couple caveats with this as well. For one, these are highly sought after by people who want to play the Atari 5200. So you will pay anywhere from $40, $50, up to $100 for just one of these controllers because, again, if you're going to collect for the system, you need to have one. And the other thing is that you'll notice it has this little Y cable here. That's because you still have to use an original controller because you need those buttons to start, pause, reset, things like that. So just something to be aware of. So what about the games? Well, keep in mind that in the early 80s, when you bought a new game for your home system, you were pretty much buying a sort of downgraded version of what you would play in the arcades. And the Atari 5200 definitely has a lot of arcade hits, and to be honest, they are definitely better than, say, what you would get on the Atari 2600. This is definitely a generation better than that. I would say it's very close in quality to what you might get on the ColecoVision. But here's the rub, though. See, I don't have any nostalgia for the system. I didn't own one back in the day. I didn't have one as a kid. I basically had an Atari 2600, and then from there I jumped to the Commodore 64. I jumped to computers. And so for me, I don't have any, nostalgia for this. So to go back and play kind of downgraded arcade hits on it, you don't really have to do that today. There's much better solutions for that. I mean, even the Atari 7800 had better arcade versions than the 5200. Now, I know there are going to be Atari enthusiasts out there that are going to be so disappointed in this video, and I get you. I totally get you. I'm an Atari 2600 kid, and there are a lot of people who just can't seem to get into that system. Every system has its own flaws and things like that, but man, I just cannot get over those crappy controllers. I mean, thank goodness I have some Wicco sticks, but even the games are kind of I don't know, I'm not feeling it. I mean, although to be fair, I still have it in my collection, I just don't put it out with all my other stuff here. And also, as a final note, most of the games are super cheap to collect for. There's not that many of them, and very few of them are expensive. So if you're interested in getting into the system, you can definitely do that for very little money. But anyways, guys, I'd love to know, what is one of the most disappointing consoles you've ever had in your gaming collection? And as an extra bonus, I'd love to know, did you keep it? Or did you trade it away for something better? Love to know down in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care. I probably should have mentioned that if you're really serious about getting into playing these type of games, just do what I did and get an Atari 800 XL computer. It plays pretty much the same games, and you can use whatever joystick you want.